Hey, successful wives. Welcome to TSW Network, where we elevate wives globally to thrive in marriage, business, and life. I'm your host, DC Constant. And in recognition of Men's Mental Health Month, TSW presents the series Brother Breathe, a powerful conversation series honoring the voices of today's Black men. And today we have the honor of having David A. Thomas, who's a dad, a minister, and a coach, the coach of youth football. Hey, David, how are you?
Hey, Darlene, how you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We are so honored to have you. So honored to have you. You're
Good to
doing
be here.
good?
Yes, ma'am. It's good to be here.
Good, good, good. All righty. Let's just jump on in. We're talking about mental health. As I know,
Lord, help us today.
Lord help us today. It's broad, it's layered. So
Yeah.
So let me just dive in with some. I'll start you off with some real easy questions. So, as a man, a father, a minister, and a coach, because you coach youth football, how do you personally define mental health, and how has your understanding of mental health evolved over the years?
Well, uh, mental health to me, it starts with a spiritual um, interpretation and understanding. So with me, uh, obviously I believe in the scriptures, the holy scriptures. Was brought up in the church all my life. Um, but when I became a believer, a practicing believer,
Mm.
that's where the scriptures became alive to me. Um, with mental health, it's always been two scriptures that always comes to mind when dealing with mental health. Isaiah 26:3, thou shalt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him, because he trusts in thee. And then the other scriptures, Romans 12:2, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And then the scripture of my father, uh, Pastor Freddie L. Thomas Sr., he used to quote it all the time over in Psalms chapter 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way
Yeah,
of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of scornful, but his delight is in the law of
and
the
the Lord.
Lord, and in that law
Yes.
will he meditate day and night. So my view, my vantage point and viewpoint of mental health is scriptural based, spiritual based. Um, Everything I believe humans deal with starts with the spirit. I believe God created us. He gave, when he breathed into man, he breathed his spirit into us, and we became a living soul. According to the scriptures, I believe that we are soul. Our actual person is soul. We possess um, a soul. We're spirit. I'm sorry. We are spirit. We possess a soul, and in that soul contains the heart and the mind, and we live in a body. So when we die, our soul and our spirit will go back to our creator, and our bodies go back to the ground. So everything is based off the spirit. Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospereth. So I believe if my spirit is right, then everything else will come into line, into subject. So with the mind, we understand the mind being the battlefield. Whoever controls the mind controls this whole body. That includes the spirit. So if the flesh is controlling the mind, then the spirit has to come under. But if the spirit is controlling the mind, then the flesh has to come under. So that's where the battlefield comes. Whoever controls the mind. Um, Tricky thing is, it sounds easy, but but it's not. So
Yeah.
how have I been able to manage mental health all these years? Prayer, prayer and meditation. I know we got these yogas and these new age, all these new ideas that's come up. Oh, we can meditate, we can do okay, that's, but the church has been teaching this since
Beginning.
since the beginning, to pray and to meditate and to get somewhere and be quiet and not be busy by. So yeah, I'm a preacher, that comes out of me. So So for
Get somewhere
me,
and be quiet. Get somewhere and sit down.
go somewhere. Yes, our mama used to say, go somewhere and sit down. Staying out. Uh, and that's difficult for humans because we're social creatures. And we like to get into most of us like to get into everything. But in dealing with mental health, prayer is essential. And I'm not talking about, nah, lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. I'm not talking about the Lord's Prayer. I'm talking about spending some quality time every day
Yeah.
before the Lord. Have your Bible open. If you can't, on bended knee, pray. And I don't have good knees anymore, so I have to sit somewhere. I sit in the corner. I got my Bible, got my light, and I'm sitting there for a half hour, 2 hours,
Mhm.
as time permit. Obviously we got things to do, jobs to go to, and everything else. But early, 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 early will I seek thee. Middle of the night, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, waking up, seeking God, just talking to him on my way to work. There was a time in my life I had to drive 2 hours one way to a job. And I took advantage of that, by just talking to the Lord and just developing that prayer life. And
Yeah.
that prayer, that's essential, to deal, because when you have no one to talk to, counselors, psychiatrists, when they fail you, when the preacher fails you, when everybody, your mom and your daddy fail you, everything, God never fails. And I found the answer when I learned how to pray. And you're familiar with the Church of God in Christ, so
Yeah.
many of the things that I'm talking about. But that's how mental health. That's how I deal with mental health. And continue to deal with it. I believe in the devil. I believe in Satan. I believe in evil. I believe in good. I believe in angels. I believe it. I believe what's in the Bible, and it's real. We can dismiss it all we want, but it does not mean that Satan is not doing what he was intended to do by his very nature. But God has given us tools, scriptural tools. Now we can commercially, they've been commercialized, but He's given us tools in order to overcome mental health, and to help us. But it has to start first with God and the spirit man, I
Yes.
think. And once that is in control, then that gets the transformation of the mind right. And once the mind is right, and that's a daily process, that's an hourly process, that's
Yeah.
that's a continual process every day. Lord, keep my mind stayed on thee. That's a process. But once you get good at something, it becomes second nature. And so when the wiles of the devil come up on you, when things, evil thoughts and things come up from within you, you know how to deal with it. You know how to recognize it, and you don't need medicine. You just you can eventually
You're
plead
gonna
the
get
blood
in
of Jesus.
trouble right there,
Listen,
David
hey,
A. Thomas.
I'm half
You're gonna get
century.
in trouble right there about the medicine.
I am half century. I've lived it. So, I deal with youth and ADHD and all that. We can deal mental health, and it's a serious subject. It's a serious
It is.
subject,
It is. It's very layered.
you
It's very
know.
layered. Like to say, I'm sure I can feel the people that's watching this got triggered. What do you mean I don't need my medicine? What you mean?
Well, I
Because
didn't say that. I didn't say you didn't need it.
what did you say?
I didn't say you didn't
I
need
didn't
it.
want to. I don't want to misquote
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. I said medicine is not always the answer. We don't
Okay.
need the medicine
Okay.
to answer certain mental health issues.
Okay.
Some
Give us.
things
Give me.
ain't even mental health. So go
Give us some
ahead.
examples. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Go. Give us some examples. I'm intrigued. Give us some
no,
examples.
some things we call, life. We call it mental health nowadays.
Yeah.
We say, oh, this is so stressful. Well, if you had to follow the instructions in the first place, paid your bills on time, if you hadn't messed up your credit, it would. Where's the stress if everything is on time and in place, and you can only control the things that you can control, and everything else that you leave it in the hands of the Lord. But when you mess up, when we don't take responsibility for our actions, and I teach our boys, I teach them young, when you mess up, I'm going to ask you, do you know what you're doing? And they'll either say yes or no. Now, if they don't know, then I teach. That's where you teach. But if they
Mhm.
can recite to me what it is, their responsibilities and what they're supposed to do, then I say, well, it's your fault. You can't blame anyone else. It's your fault. And many times we're trying to blame everything else, including science, including
Mm,
God, and we're not looking at ourselves.
that
You know,
accountability.
there you go. Gots to be accountable. So mental health, a lot of things that we're labeling and calling is not so, and we're medicating is not so. Do you remember, Darlene, when we grew up? Everybody had mental health. We all was crazy. We all had something going on. But the solution to a lot of our health issues and mental health problems was some good discipline.
Mm.
It was simple, good discipline. Go somewhere and sit down, or go get
Get a
a,
book.
a book, or go get a switch off the tree, or go go some. There was simple discipline,
Yeah.
and that solved a lot of the problems that we had. I was ADHD. It wasn't official, but what I found was when I had a focus, my mind was clear. When I focused on electronics, I was a nerd. So when I focused on my comic books, when I focused on such whatever it is I was focused on in my youth, mathematics, when I was focused on that, there was no problem. My mind wouldn't go no. It was focused on that situation. But today, man, you got everything coming. Social media, video game, everything is attacking us, and we're just overloaded mentally.
Yeah.
It's too
Information
much.
overload.
Mhm.
Information.
We're over
This
communication.
information overload.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I heard a bishop say one time. He said we're too. We're what did he say? We're over communicated.
Mm. Yeah.
So much coming at us that it's too much communication. you know. Um, and I think I'm, getting off track. So you make sure you stop
No,
me.
no, no. So what I want, so it's totally a different day and time
Mm-hmm.
than how we came up. Um, But when isn't it fair to say though, when we're talking about the different layers of mental health? So you definitely brought up a good point in terms of the focusing and everything. But everyone didn't grow up in a household like you did. And I want to when you first talked about your dad, the late great, forgot to say great. Your dad
Great.
is a
Yeah.
great man. Yes, the late great Superintendent Freddie L. Thomas. He was great man, even greater preacher. I have an affinity for him, will always, because he was always kind to my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So always kind to my husband. When my husband got ordained and everything was coming up in the ministry, your dad was just great to him. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, so we came up in a different time.
Mm-hmm.
So to be fair, what about that child that does have ADHD now, have all these different things? The parent has tried all these other different things because you have different parenting styles
Mm-hmm.
than when we came up. You have people that have mental health because they've been through some traumas, some
Mm-hmm.
abuse that have been suppressed for years.
Right.
And, a lot of arrested development. So they're just now dealing with it now because guess what? I have a voice now. I can say something about it now, even though it happened 20, 30 something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So just being fair to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great point. We want to acknowledge, mental health more so. In the black community, that was something that was a no. There's
No,
no
no.
such thing.
Yeah.
You either crazy, or you go
You're
sit in a
normal.
room with somebody and they feed you a tray under the door. That was mental health in the old days. Today
Yes.
everything's opened. Today everything, and it may be a little too open. Again, disclaimer: these are my opinions and
Right.
comments. This is not the views of the Successful Wives Network or her or their affiliates. Thank you very much. These are my opinions.
Yeah, I love my brother.
Yeah, let them come to me. Don't come after you. Come to me. Come to me. But yes, you know, the process though, dealing with whatever example we want. If you're dealing with um, old wounds, things that happened. You were raped. You were molested. When you were a kid, that's a situation that needs to be dealt with. Everything can't be. You can't beat everything out of people. You can't.
Yes.
medicate everything out of people. You can't yell everything out of people. I'm the yeller type of coach, old school type of coach. But there has to be an understanding. I think that's the first thing that has to be done is an acknowledgement and understanding of what has happened to an individual.
Yes.
And then you can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. And sometimes you have to, as we talked about layers, sometimes we got to go a little bit deeper and go a little
Yes.
bit deeper and go a
Mhm.
little bit deeper. It's not all just pray it away. Now notice
Thank you for
started my
saying that.
remarks. I started
Yeah.
my remarks saying I found the answer when I learned how to pray.
Yes.
However, with prayer comes understanding. As you
Yes.
pray, you're asking God to open up your understanding, and all I get understanding. And as I understand the situation that I'm dealing with,
Hmm.
then I can go to God and then go to professional help or counselor or whatever, or the law, whatever it is I need to do to deal with it. We sweep
Yes.
things under the rug too much,
Too much. Too much.
and we don't deal with the issues. What do we do? If something's bothering us, we yell, we get emotional, we get erratic, we shell up, we don't say nothing, we go be quiet, and it may take a little bit of all of that, but you got to understand what's going on and then deal with it. And so I think it's not just for today's time, but all throughout history. When
Yeah.
you deal, look at Jesus. When he looked at situations, and he dealt with it. He dealt with it, not with the Pharisees and Sadducees in the crowd, but he dealt with the individual. He
Yes.
dealt with that individual and got to the root problem of that individual. And in
Yes.
some cases, sin was involved. In other
Mhm.
cases, it was a natural ability, it was a natural disability. And in
Mhm.
other cases, it was just misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the law. Nicodemus came at night. He didn't, yeah, he fussed and fought all of them during the day. But Nicodemus, when he got Nicodemus one on one, he was
Mhm.
able to get him, give him some better understanding about things. So,
Yes.
ADHD, that's a whole different ball game, and but and again, I'm not a medical profession, but I've been trained. I understand. I know how to refer. When I'm counseling, I refer people to proper medical
Mhm.
personnel. But sometimes it is just the devil. Sometimes it is the devil that they just full of the devil, and you cast that devil out, you're gonna see there's gonna be a change in that. But people don't want it because they don't believe. They don't believe. The devil's have figured out how to trick folks into saying there ain't no devil, and he's got full control of them. But if
Mhm.
you cast that devil out, I guarantee at a minimum of half the issue is going to be solved right there. So,
So I'm thinking of how somebody's sitting here watching this talking about. So is he saying my child is the devil?
full of the devil.
Is he said I'm the devil?
No, he's not devil. He's full of it. Believe me, I deal with it. These kids, oh my God, this generation. But when I was growing up, I was full of the devil. I was full of it. And my mama said, she said here's a good funny story. So one time I forgot exactly what I did, but I lied about it, and she didn't like liars. I don't know, I could never get away with a lie with her. I could get around it with dad, but my mother would not put up with a liar. So I did something, and it was a Saturday morning, and she asked me about it. "Well, did you do this?" And I lied. I said, "No, I didn't do it." So I kept on going till then I finally admitted, yes, I did do it. So she asked the question that every parent asks, "Why did you do it?" Now, kids, what is the response? I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't know.
I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know why I did it. So, but I got smart this one time. I said, the devil made me do it. She now she was surprised. She was taken back a little bit. She was, you know, she was taken back a little bit, but she thought about it. She said, "Oh, okay. Well, the devil made you do it. Well, I'm just gonna have to go ahead and beat the devil out you." And proceeded to, cast the devil out with the rod and the spear. You know, so yeah, these kids today, but there's a huge lack of structure.
Yeah.
There's a
Yes.
huge like you leave. You leave them. What's that old saying? Idle mind's a devil's workshop, right?
Yes, and that's
Not
true.
biblical, but it's a saying.
Yeah, it's a saying
If you leave them and
to
put
themselves.
a electronic device that stimulates from the time that they're 3 months years old, what do you think is gonna they're gonna have when they become 12 and 13 years old?
Oh, an addiction, full blown.
Full
Full
blown.
blown.
And you're gonna have attention deficit
Hmm.
because they can't pay attention to anything else unless it stimulates them. If they're not stimulated, you're gonna have problems.
But
So
that goes back to parenting as well. Cause see, I've done case management for 20 years. I was in that field. So my vantage point in terms of parenting, to your point, definitely putting the kids in front of the TV, putting something so I don't have to deal with you where you had them. So, but I saw that a lot. I saw that a lot. So for me, because I've seen the other side and I was a case manager, we can't put it all on the kids
no,
because, and you're a coach. So you dealing with kids, you got them at certain ages, but some of these kids are dealing with a lot behind closed doors.
they
And
are.
it's very easy for a mom or dad or parents to say, oh, these kids today. Well, okay, well, what have they seen in the household? Now,
Hmm.
I'm not talking about the parent that have done everything they know to do,
Right.
because you can come from the best and still make a
Hmm.
bad decision.
Exactly.
Understand that. So,
Exactly.
but I'm talking about the parents that know. Come
Hmm.
on, you know that you put all these electric device, giving them, trying to be their friends. I know because I had them on my caseload. And
Hmm.
the children are going to tell you. They will
Yeah.
tell somebody else what's going on in the house. So it's more so, how do we what's the parenting structure? Because not, we grew up during the time it was a village. Like, we
Hmm.
could get our butt spanked by Miss Jones, Miss Smith down the
Hmm.
street. To these days, you can't say anything to anybody's child.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I agree with that.
Hmm.
But there should be somebody else in your circle that you trust with
Yeah.
your children,
Yeah.
because you're not the only influence. You should be the main influence in your child's life. But as a
Hmm.
parent, you really should understand you're not the only influence when
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
leave out.
Raising kids, you can't legislate raising kids, and that's part of the problem. There's a lot of problems, underlying problems, legislation. When you can't publicly deal with your kid, but they can publicly cut up on you. There was
Yeah.
time we was at Sears Tower in Cleveland, 110 Lorraine, and I went with my father. I was about 3 years old, and they had an escalator. So one day I decided to cut up. Dad told me the story, so I decided to cut. I flat out in the floor and just
Had a
cut up,
full tantrum.
full blown. He said full blown. My father said he got down. He's 50 some years old dealing with me. He said he got down on that floor and he dealt with me right there on public,
Yeah.
and no one said a word. No one said a word.
No, no.
Different times, obviously,
Totally different times.
but for me, dealing with parents, I always I marvel because I'm a disciplinarian on my field. Um, what I say go. I'm a dictator. I'm that type of coach. So the kid, my job is to teach them the game of football. And I'm not trying to lose. I'm not trying to have, well, I am trying to have fun, but I'm trying to teach them some, uh, the ideals
Mhm.
that goes along with football, not just the game and winning and losing a game, but how to deal, because football mirrors life so much. And parents are always in awe. They say, how do you get my kid to listen to you? How does he listen? Because and I'm not a yeller. They say they're not a yeller, and I simply tell them, if you watch my practices, you see there's structure, you see there's teaching, there's encouragement, but
Mhm.
there's discipline. When it's time to come down on them, I will come. If I've told Johnny 7 times,
Ooh,
block
seven.
right, 7. not
He
two,
did it 7 times.
7 times. And he, every time, goes left. I said, Johnny, where we supposed to go? Right? Hike. Boom, he goes left. Okay, 7 times. Listen, I'm coming down on you because you understand what you're supposed to do.
Hmm.
You don't have any physical limitations. You're doing what you want to do. Parents
Hmm.
like, well, how you get them to? You put structure and you do it over and over and over and over and over again. If you give a kid, for example, a chore at home, when you come home, take the garbage out and vacuum the living room floor every day,
Hmm.
over and over and over and over again, and make and hold them accountable. Oh, you didn't vacuum? No video game for you. Or you didn't vacuum? No this, that, or the other. You didn't vacuum? Oh, you didn't do your job. Men don't work. Men don't eat. That's my theme. That's
Oh, I know. You've been saying that forever.
forever.
You said
You
it
know,
forever.
you
Yes.
know. Second Thessalonians 3:10. You don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
So if parents would understand, you're not their friend. You are the parent, and there's a role. You're not there to be their best buddy or there to be your. I tell the kids every year, and I tell the parents every year. I say, listen, I am not their homie. I'm not the
Mhm.
nigga. I'm not your I'm not your friend. I am your coach. You will address me, and you do this over and over again. You'll address me as coach, or you'll address me as mister, or you'll put a handle on this. Outside the field, you can do whatever you want. But inside the field, this is my world, and you will operate in my terms. The problem is when we get outside the world and the parents don't follow up on that,
That's that
they
part.
wonder, well, why they listen to you? Well, in my world, they listen to me. In
Mhm.
your world, if you would translate and transfer the things that you learned in my world into your world, not everything, because everything I do is not right. You
Mhm.
know, you can't yell at every kid. Every kid don't receive that type. They don't like every kid don't like animation, and they will shut down.
Yeah, that shut down. Yeah.
But it's why they're shutting down, because they don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to respond. They don't know. There's something in there that they don't know. So you got to find a way to get in there without compromising your role as the adult or the authority figure. So that they ask me what, I just say, do what I do. Take some of the things that I do and apply it. You can't whoop them, fine. Pick up tires, make them run tires, make them do some manual labor, do something that's gonna affect them, and they'll remember there's a consequences to your actions.
Mhm.
Do something. You got the parent. That's your job, is to raise the kid so that they know the difference between right and wrong. I don't reason with kids. I don't reason. My dad did not reason with us. My parents did not reason with me. They said this is how we're going to do it. This is it's go because I said so.
Yeah.
Some parents need to go back to that. Why do you have to explain everything? No, I said so. Why I
So,
gotta go ahead? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, that is the era. That is the era we came up in.
Yeah.
What do you think about? So, what do you think about? Because now I'm thinking in terms of critical thinking. Because see, I
Right.
was raised that way.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your parents said went. This is my personal opinion, especially
Mm-hmm.
with Black children.
Yes.
Um, I think not explaining everything to your children, but I think children should have a choice in something. So let me explain. I'm gonna give you an
Yeah. Take your
example
time. Take your time.
because it gives critical thinking. So like
Mm-hmm.
when my daughter was born, my Amber had to be about maybe about 5. And I remember asking her like which outfit she wanted to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't, let's just say the blue outfit or the green outfit.
Right.
My mom happened to be over that day and lost her mind, her everlasting mind. She said, she 5. She gonna put on whatever you put out or whatever you tell her. That's what this is my mom.
Way to go, mom.
You, let me finish. So I said, she said, you're the mother. And I said, I hear you. And so I had to educate my mother. I said, but you know what, mom? What I said, this is what I'm teaching her. I want to teach her to think for herself and critical thinking. If she picked the red outfit, does it really matter? Because she gonna wear the green one tomorrow. I said, I'm teaching her critical thinking skills. So when she go to school, when she try to apply for a job or something like that, she can think for herself
Mm-hmm.
versus every step of the way, somebody telling her what to do and nobody is like listening. I said, I think in this instance, asking her, do you want to wear the red outfit or the blue outfit? I don't think that's hurting anything. That's
Mm-hmm.
just me setting her mind that she has a choice about something. And what happens so much to our young Black boys and girls, they leave our house and go off to college, and the counselor say, you might have a passion for art, and the counselor say, I don't think you good with that. You need to do this or you need to do that. Like, where's the critical thinking skills in that? So for me, I broke that
Mm-hmm.
because that's how I was raised. And I'm like, I do want to hear what's going on in my daughter's thoughts. I do want to give her reason, you know, um, I need her to learn how to think for
Mm-hmm.
herself because she's not going to always have me and daddy here. So when
Right.
she's away from us, nobody can just trick her into anything. She will know how to think. It's we taught her how to express herself in a respectful manner because
Mm-hmm.
I would, as a kid, I never felt respected. I never felt like I could say anything, and as parents we're not right about everything. And so I wanted to be able to give her some type of, you have a choice in this. I mean, it was something small. So who
Yeah.
cares if she picked the red one? She wearing the green one tomorrow. Do it matter? She gonna wind up wearing all the outfits anyway. And so then my mother said to me, oh, so you're parenting like those other people. And we know what she meant by that. And I said, okay, we'll leave that there. But this is how I'm going to this is
Yeah.
how I'm going to raise
I get you.
my daughter. This is how me and my husband are going to raise
Right.
our child.
Right.
So, and she's very well rounded.
Yeah.
That was,
Love you, mom. Love you. Appreciate you. You got an old school rayer. But I have to agree with Darlene. I think Darlene, as each generation we do a little bit better
yes.
from a parenting standpoint. We try. I was watching. I don't know if there's some fans out there. The Last of Us series that's on HBO Max. It's based off a video game about this virus that uh,
Excuse me.
infests the world and it brings about an apocalypse on the world.
Hmm.
And the main character is Joel. They're in the second season now. There was an episode a couple weeks ago where he reviews his pattern, and he goes back to his father. He goes back to his father. His father was abusive, very abusive. Um, and he stands up for his little brother and Tommy. And Joel sits at the table. Tommy done something, and he done got into a fight. And now Dad, who's a police officer, is coming home, and he figures it's going to be another episode. But the dad doesn't go into episode. In fact, he cracks open a beer, shares a beer with him. So Joel is sitting there like, "What's going to happen? What you're scaring me. I'm supposed to get a beating, and he's trying to take the beating for his brother." And his father reflects a story on his father and
Mm.
saying, a story that he went through, that his father hit him. He did something and his father nailed him in the mouth to where he had broke his jaw, and his jaw was wired shut for 2 weeks, and that was back in his day. So a lot of the abusiveness that he developed came from his background. But then he says, no, I don't get on y'all as much as my father got on me. Now I acknowledge I got a problem, but and you'll see it. You may think it's extreme, but from where my standpoint come from, it's a lot different than what it was. So he tells his son, do a little bit better, do better than me, do a little bit better than me. So now he's got a girl. Joel's got this girl in present day, and they get into a scrap, typical father surrogate daughter type of thing, and they're not speaking to each other. But and he had died earlier in the episode, but he has a conversation. They do a flashback. He has a conversation with her the day before he dies, and she's upset with him because of whatever he told her. He'd been lying to her, but he finally told her the truth, and he relayed the same words. you don't understand because you're 19 years old. You don't understand what a father has to do, a parent has to do. So when you get older, you might understand it, and if you do a little bit better than I did, and that's how I think. Though I agree with your mom, I agree with you as well that you got to do a little bit better. You know, there's a place for roles and absolute authority, but there's a place where you have to train up a child in the way they should go. And when
Yeah.
they grow old, they will not depart. I did the same thing with my daughter. I got whipped. I got beat, y'all. Y'all don't
Oh, I
understand.
got beat.
You
I
got beat.
got
I got
beat.
beat. I think I
I
beat. I think I got you beat by being beat. So
No,
I got
I
everything.
got beat. I don't believe in beatings because I got beat because we talk about the word, and I think and I know we're talking about mental health, but I believe all of that plays into it
It do. It do.
because the mental health part is we tend to repeat what happened in our childhood. We tend to pass it down. And so because I got beat as a child and that was called discipline, I didn't do that to my daughter because one
Mm-hmm.
thing that's a common denominator with children that get beat by their parents, you're beating your child when you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
You're beating your kid when you're angry. And I got beat, but never got talked to. It was just, don't do that no more. It was never like a lesson behind it. And so for me, I never beat my child. I never beat Amber because I never want to be that angry where I'm beating her. I feel like that's a slave mentality. I feel like sometimes it's a cop out because I got beat for every little thing and every day. And then it got to the point where it has no effect. And if you know you're gonna get beat, you'll be like, well, you know what? I might as well do the biggest, worst thing ever because my parents aren't listening to me. All they doing is beating me. So I was like, I'm not gonna beat my kid. And I know everybody can go back and forth about, well, beating is different from discipline. To me, discipline does not always mean that you gotta have physical whatever. Maybe some people might think it's different if it's with a boy. I'm not sure. I only have one child, only have a daughter, but I didn't, and her dad didn't beat her either because he didn't want her to associate a man hitting her thinking it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she got disciplined in other ways, but not with the extension cord or
Mm-hmm.
anything, like how that traumatized me. That traumatized me. So
Well, it's a little different with me. A little bit similar, but a little bit different. Yeah, I got beat for everything. I was the ringleader, so I kind of deserved half of the whippings I got. So, I ain't ashamed of it, but I ain't proud of it either. Uh, when I raised for everybody in your audience, I have a stepson. I'm a divorced dad. I raised a stepson from 3 years old on up, and I have a 19, soon to be 20-year-old daughter who is both of them are successful. Both of them are doing their thing. Timmy's doing wonderful things. Kayla's in college doing her. They both went to college. They're doing their thing. But I was the disciplinarian, so I believed in whipping. So I whipped. Okay, so stepson. So this is my story. So stepson, when I went into the marriage, um, his father was involved. So there's a thin line when it comes to my type of discipline. I didn't touch the boy. I didn't physically. I don't think I may have gotten him once, but I said no. I'm gonna leave that the whooping. If it deserves a whooping, then I'm gonna leave that to his mother and his father.
mhm.
And there's a couple stories I'll tell you off air, about that. But I said no. I won't physically get a hold of him because men. There is a difference between men and women, and men raising men versus girls and what
Mhm.
have you. So the mother raised and disciplined him according to how she fit. I didn't agree with everything that she did, but fine. As long the rule in my house was, you will not disrespect your mother. You will
Okay.
not raise your voice at your mother. You will, what I said. So, but Kayla, the bub as she's known for those who may want to follow. I whipped her 4 times, four, you know, and uh, all with belts. But they were scattered out. They were young. I don't think she got a whooping past six, maybe seven. She only got four, and two of those she was a toddler. She got popped on the legs, so she could feel it. You get them early, because once they get 9, 10 years old, trying to whoop them, that ain't gonna work.
But they just got here at 2, 3. They just got
Oh,
here.
no, no, no. They ain't just
They,
got here. They've
David,
been.
they just
You
got
forgot the
here.
9 months. You forgot the 9 months they was in that womb. When they was kicking and screaming, you told them to settle down and cause mama to have morning sickness. You forgot about them time when they just wake up in the middle of the night. They crying for nothing. Don't want nothing other than being held. No, them little rascals. They've been here a long
It's called,
time. Anyway,
I think it's called, all women around the world would agree with me. It's called being a baby.
yeah, be the baby, but you got to train the baby. You got to now remember. I only whooped her 4 times. Now she don't, everybody understands discipline. Everyone understands discipline. Everyone understands what no. No means no. Yes, everybody understands that. Even a
Yeah.
dog, non-humans, they understand no versus they understand good versus evil. So when I tap her on her leg, she know. It may start with the bottom, the pamper. That may stop. Hey, stop that, stop that. And now, the Pampers is cushion, and they don't, they know cushion's cool. So you get that leg, you get some skin on them. Now, again, no anger, but you let them know you mean business, and they learn. Now they learn. Okay, Papa, no. Papa, no, don't do that. Mama, no, don't do that. And my mama got a hold of her too. So it was used sparingly. It wasn't used like weekly and daily for me in the second grade, 1982 and 83. It was daily. So yeah, that was just a bad year. We chalked that up to the IRS and we done. But you know, but it was used. So when I raised my kid, yes, it was my way or it was, but we also allowed, like you, we gave them opportunities to think, learn how to critically think. We gave them chances to make decisions, but there were some decisions you weren't going to make, like a cell phone. The
Yeah.
decision was
I
you're
agree
not
with
getting a
that.
cell phone till you're 14, period.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. I agree
But
with that.
dad, I'm 9. I'm responsible. No, the rule is you're not getting it till you're 14. Dad,
Mhm.
I'll make a deal. Now she was good at she learned how to negotiate. She is a
That's
negotiator.
an excellent skill.
That little girl, boy, and she learned it from me. Well, maybe her mother,
I
but
b
me primarily.
No, you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She would be proud of my little girl. But she learned how to negotiate stuff. So tennis shoes, she said, if I get 4 A's and a B, can I get these shoes? Okay, cool. Because I wasn't buying the shoe. I wasn't buying Jordans. I still don't own a pair of Jordans.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna pay $100, $200 for a shoe I don't even own. So she would negotiate. She'd say, if I do this, can I do? Okay, cool. Yeah, that'll work. And then made sure I followed up with my words. I very rarely gave empty threats or empty idle promises. If I
Yeah.
said something, I meant to do it. If I promised you something, if I promised you a whooping, you're going to get that whooping. If I
Mhm.
promised you a gift, you're going to get that gift. Now, if something comes up, I would explain to her why there's a delay, but I'm a man of my word. That's old school. That's
Mhm.
old school, being a man of your word. People just throw out empty threats and idle threats and don't, I'm gonna put my foot down your throat. And you really ain't gonna, after a while, the kid's gonna learn
Yeah.
you got a lot of hot air, but you ain't got no substance behind what you're saying. My football
Yeah.
team understands this. My kids understand this. They know dad say something, it's good as gold. It's almost good as gold, or he's gonna have he's gonna be accountable for what he says. So yes, I whooped her 4 times, 4 or 5, 3 or 4 times, not five. But she also learned the critical skills, as you mentioned. She also learned how to think for herself. She learned how to defend herself. She learned how to be tough. She learned a lot of traits that a man. But when it came to women things or things that I considered to be women issues, talk to your mother. Go deal with your mother. Your mother will handle this because I'm a man. I'm not going to confuse you with my idea of a woman. I'm not a
Mhm.
woman. I'm not trying to be a woman. Don't want to be a woman.
Right.
I'm a man.
Right.
Your mama is a woman. She is a good woman, and she will
Mhm.
teach you and tell you the right thing. And then when we behind closed doors, we will have a discussion. So
Yeah.
she'll call me. She'll tell me, hey, Kayla's grounded. Okay, cool. She grounded over here then. That it was not an argument. It was not a problem. When I called, but when I set the law and said, hey, Kayla cannot do. One time they called me about a dress. So she was getting ready for some sixth grade uh, dance. And they called me. They called me. They called me. We divorced, separated by then. But they called me and she was excited about this dress. Oh, Dad, I wonder where I say, well, what you calling me for? Did your mama like it? Mama said that I needed to see it. And so they sent me a picture. And I said, no. That's all. I didn't give a reason. I didn't give an explanation. I said, no. They hung up the phone. She had another dress on, different one. Now that's in the sixth grade. So all of this had to build up. It's not like I'm a dictator by uh, everything that I say goes. There's a process behind it. There's a give a
You know
little.
what? I want to pause right there. I
Okay.
want to give a shout out to your ex-wife.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Bridget.
said
Bridget.
you said something very critical. Number one, because most women wouldn't even call the dad. They wouldn't even thought about you. Because
Nope.
men fathers are so undervalued. Most women would be like, I don't care, blanky blank, what your daddy think. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to your ex-wife for
Yeah.
even saying we gotta call your dad.
Yeah.
And shout out that she respected what you said.
Yeah.
That's excellent co-parenting there. And you said nope. She was on the same page. She backed you, even if she thought differently. That
Mm-hmm.
was that united front,
Yeah.
and your daughter had a totally different dress on. So
Yeah.
just shout out to your ex-wife for that. That's very mature and excellent co-parenting. So I wanted to get that shout out because you don't see that every
No,
day.
you don't. But co-parenting. Well, that's a whole different. We're talking mental health. You know, but you got the kids is the priority.
Mhm.
When you had a good time, most of us had a good time making these kids. Their responsibility, and the man has a responsibility, woman has a responsibility. A lot of these kids are screwed up, especially in the black community, because the man is not there. The man is not there, and the woman wants to take over and raise the kids. And laws allow, legislation allows for this. Welfare, all of it. It is. Oh, I don't want to get on a pulpit about this, but the black man, and I'm specific about the black man. The black man in America is does not have a place.
Mm,
It's a war on us. There's an extermination. So when a woman respects a man, maybe their relationship didn't go out, but if they can be mature enough to respect each other in raising this child together, because that child needs a piece of his mama and a piece of his daddy. My daughter, she has the good of her mother and the good of me and the bad of her brother. All in there. So brothers. But even the stepson, he has his father in him, he
mhm,
has his mother in him, but he also has a piece of me in him. Not
mhm.
not DNA biology, but he has the
Influence.
training.
Yeah, by
He has the
product of
foundation.
influence. Yes.
He has that influence, that
Yes.
discipline
Mhm.
that goes with it, and it's a righteous discipline. So I'm not just mean just to be mean. There's a reason, because
Not
now
me.
they can make it on their own.
Yes.
They don't live in the house. They are on their own, and they're figuring life out, but they have the structure behind them. So they can't come to me talking about I'm mental, I'm exhausted. Yeah, okay, you're exhausted. Take a vacation, go somewhere and sit down, get your life together. Monday's coming back. Let's get back on the horse and get back and ride it again. It's the next play, next play, next play, next play. Now, for the negotiators and the ones that don't know, what to do and how do I, you got to go back to basics. I know your kid is 9 years old. Your kid is 13. He's a teenager now, and you've wasted a lot. There's always time to try to get things right. They're still young. Now it's harder to break them, but they can be broken. It's harder, but they.
Gracefully broken.
Hmm.
I said gracefully broken.
You ever break a tree branch?
It's
how
not
graceful is a tree
broken.
branch? Now,
What did Tasha Cobb say? Gracefully broken. Oh my God, David. Oh my God.
I told you,
Oh my God.
you invited me here.
I did. I
You knew
did.
what you was getting.
Touche. Touche. So
But
then let me let me. Oh my goodness.
your people say, "Who
Speaking
is this
speaking
guy?"
of broken,
Broken, broken.
as a coach with your boys, because most of your
Yes,
boys, they're young black boys, right? What's the
yes.
age? What's the ages we're talking about?
I have 8-year-old now, so I got 7 and 8 year olds this year, and I
Okay.
walk them up to their 14 and go to high
Okay.
school. So
So, oh, that's real good because you can see the seed and you can
yes,
watch that seed grow. So,
yes.
with you dealing with them, and most of them probably come from single family homes.
Hmm.
So, how do you what signs do you look for or see when you see them struggling emotionally? And by them being black boys, how do you help them navigate stress, pressure, trauma, and all that on and
Hmm.
off the field? Because whether you believe it or not, you're dad. Because
Hmm.
children will, what I learned in case management, whatever they're missing in life, that's what they're going to identify you as. You don't
Hmm.
tell them, they're going to show you. So you either going to be dad, unc,
Hmm.
big bruh. So how do you help them with that?
It's a beautiful experience to coach. Everybody can't do it, but everybody does it in their own way.
Yeah.
We become like when as I stated earlier, I'm coach. You address me as coach or mister. You don't ever call me by my first name. It starts from day one, but as we grow and as we develop, we find out who can handle mentally, because in our league, Cleveland Community Football League, it's one of the oldest leagues in the country, and it's a very, very tough league. I coach on the west side, which is considered soft, considered, run over. East side of Cleveland, they oh boy, them kids. So I have to get them ready, because on the field, them boys is cussing out, and the west side, they don't know nothing about all this. They don't know nothing about this. They sheltered versus the east side kids. And I'm making a very broad
Okay.
contrast, but this is just how it is. So the east side is considered thuggish, gangsterish. They're considered, and there's good people over there. There's great coaches, great organization, great people over there. But those kids are a little bit more than they are on the west side. So I have to get them ready, you know. And I tell a parent, I say, if they can't take me at practice, my practices are hard. If they can't take me at practice, they're not going to survive in the game. They can't, because they've got to learn how to. So it's a culture shock for them.
Yeah.
They've been used to being given everything. They've been used to laying up in air conditioning. They've been used to playing their little PlayStations. They've been used to everything being pampered, and they've been told, "Oh, you're cute. Oh, you're so." And if they happen to have any kind of athletic gift, they're used to somebody telling, "Oh, Johnny, you're just so wonderful. Oh, you're good." And then they run into Coach Thomas. Coach Thomas said, "Boy, you are brain damaged. What is wrong with you? You are not good. You are not pretty. You're lazy. And when they get a dose of Coach Thomas, is a whole different reality. So now
Okay.
it takes them a whole year to get used to me, and we win. Somehow we figure out a way to win every year. And I don't have the most talented kids. So to your question, it takes time, but
Okay.
it takes being consistent with what I do. I stay within my rule books. I stay within who I am. I don't try to be somebody else. I tell them all the time, I might not be the coach you want, but I'm the coach that they need,
Mm,
for this generation. Everybody doesn't coach the way I do, and that's fine. My ways are not always right. My ways are probably wrong. They're definitely outdated, but they work and they're effective. So when Johnny and Mark and they're coming up to me, you build that trust because they know coach is going to be there for me.
mhm,
You buy them a pair of cleats, you see that they're struggling. Now it's my responsibility to evolve throughout the season and throughout their little careers to help when I see that they need help, to recognize their parents don't have the money,
mhm,
and I have it. So why can't I do for them?
Mhm.
They're, I get the kids that's working hard. They just need a break. So I will provide. I'll feed them.
Mhm.
I'll clothe them football wise. But I'm also telling them responsibility. Don't forget your cleats at home or you're going to run all practice. And they forget their cleats at home. You know what? They don't forget their cleats at home. They don't forget their mouthpiece. They learn responsibility because we teaching them responsibility. We're
Discipline.
teaching
That's
them
discipline. Yeah,
discipline.
that's
It's not
discipline.
always whooping and hitting. We find a way to, because the vision is I got to bring meaning and hope into their lives. They're not going to be 7 and 8 year old forever. They're going to be 23 one day.
Yes.
And like our children, they've got to make a choice. They're going to have to make a choice whether to smoke that joint. They got to
Mm.
make the choice whether they want to run the streets or not. And they may still make the wrong choices. But I'm going to give them the skills that they need, the foundation that they may not be getting at home. I'm going to give them the discipline, the proper discipline, in my opinion, that they may not be getting because everybody yelling at home is not discipline. Just because you can raise your voice from a single female, black, that don't mean you disciplining them. That just means you angry or you
Yes.
upset because you got pregnant. You wasn't supposed to get pregnant. Now you got 16s running around and your check is late. That's why most of the time. So, and I talk to the parent. If I see something, in fact, I got an event tonight. I talk to the parent. I make sure I communicate with the parents. Tell them, listen, this is how I am. Y'all not gonna like it. Let them hate me. You
Yeah.
guys love them.
Mm.
Let them hate me. Let them despise me. I don't want them despising the parent. Children, obey your parent. And the law for
Mm.
this is right. And every practice we close with that scripture, making sure they recite the scripture. We don't just do the Lord's Prayer, just be doing it. So when Johnny is having problems with me yelling at him, and I see that he's having issues understanding why I'm yelling, I come with a question. Do you understand why I'm yelling at you? Do you understand why I'm upset with you? And depending on that answer, that will open. And the conversation I had with I'll tell you another story. Johnny, just the other week, asthma. The kid has asthma. So I'm all soft. I'm Coach Thomas is soft now because he's got asthma. I don't want the kid dying. So his dad comes up there, his mom's up there. They're watching this, they're seeing this, and I'm like, okay, Johnny, don't run all the way. Just run halfway. Everybody else is running. One day, there was just a bad practice, and everybody was running the whole time. And Johnny just Louise got his inhaler. His dad is there. So the last weekend goes by, and his mother comes up there this time. And apparently she had just gotten reports, so she hadn't been there a couple of, she worked, but she came up there that day, and she didn't have his inhaler. And Johnny started doing what he normally do. Mom was like, "That ain't asthma. That's laziness. He been conning you, coach." Lord, you don't
What?
understand my face when I turned and said, "Johnny, you in trouble. Your mama has certified saying you ain't got asthma. Oh, you got asthma, but it ain't the asthma. This is the lazy asthma." So she said, "Coach Thomas, you do what you need to do." Oh, I lit that. I ain't had no problem with that boy. I ain't had no problem
Wow.
with him. Once the
Wow.
parent and I get on the same page,
Yes.
yeah, we can deal with Johnny and his attitude and Johnny and his rebellious state. Because it's a process. Some days I will yell, but most days I'm teaching. Most days I'm listening to them. Remember earlier in the conversation, I said,
Yeah.
I don't negotiate. No, I don't negotiate, but I do listen. I
That's
do it because it's a different day.
yeah.
We're
It
not
is.
slaves. They're not, you know, they may be terrorists, but they're not slaves. You know, oh, probably FCC gonna get me, but no, these look, but they're trainable.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
trainable, and they're black boys. They're little, not just all black. I get a couple others in, but they're boys, and they're growing up to be men, young men, and they're growing up to be men. Now you got all this finances, the NIL that's coming from college down to high school, that's going to eventually trickle into youth football. That's finances, parents. There's competition in youth football all over. I need them to have foundation.
Yes. Yeah,
So
I agree.
if you leave me for the right reason. Don't just leave me because somebody said they're going to give you this and then they renege. Now you out there and you ain't got no, you don't know how to cope. You don't know how to handle your anger. These kids are angry.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're angry, but they are angry. And so now I got to find out, how do I resolve that anger? How do
Did
I
you ask them?
evolve? How do
Ask the why question.
I have to ask the question.
You
I'm
have
a
to
teacher.
ask the why question. Sometimes they may not know why they're angry, but it's good to ask.
It is. And find out. You got to learn.
You
A
have to
kid is a
find out
person. I may believe in roles, be seen but not heard. I believe in that to a point. But when I ask you a question, get down to their level, lower my voice, let them understand. The sternness is there, but I need you to understand. And you know what? Over the season, the kid changes. Most of the kids change or they quit. They either change or they quit. And that's what, when you bring uh, order to a chaotic situation, one of two things is going to generally happen. Either you're going to fall in line or you're going to fall out.
Yeah, that's
Mental
true.
health, once you understand the why of it, now I can go to God in prayer. Now I can teach Johnny why we run to the right instead of to the left. And I tell you why we do what we do why don't we don't run fancy drills? Why we do the same thing over and over? Why do I get on my knees at 6 o'clock a.m. every day? Why do I pray 3, 4, 5 times a day? Why do I do this? Because I'm keeping my mind active. I'm being transformed every day. I'm in a routine. I'm getting support. I'm not just letting a video game. I tell kids, all, especially the ones that are interested in, do you understand why the video game does what it does? Do you understand? That's how I make my money, by understanding the behind the scenes, the programming of the video game, of the computers, you know how to buy the computer, but I'm the one that's making the, well, I wish I
Hmm.
was, but
Yeah.
I understand that, and that's where the real money is at. So these kids and parents, I know we talked a lot about youth, and
No, but
that's
no,
my
that I
passion.
think that's good because youth mental health is just as important as adults. Because as
Yeah,
you said, they're going to grow up.
yeah,
Want to grow
and
up. That's why I asked, do you when you identify even young black boys that's in your care,
yeah,
because they have, you just said they are angry, different things like that. That all plays a part of mental, because the earlier you can catch them in terms of helping them regulate
hmm
their emotions, then the better men they will be by the time they're 23, 25, 30 years old.
and
And
sometimes, and women, God bless the women. We have strong women in our family. Bless them. I love them. There's just some things a woman can't do.
I agree.
There's just some things a woman
I agree.
can't teach. I mean, they can
I
teach
agree.
it, but they need help because they're not a man. They may come from a man, but they're not a man. There's things in a woman that is just not, oh, I'm not politically correct, so y'all just go ahead and sue me now. There's just something that a man knows about a boy that a
That a
woman just
woman
will not
doesn't.
know.
No, I said that in my last and this this is the common denominator. In my last interview, the gentleman said the same thing, and I said, I get a lot of backlash in my family from the single women, and my some of them, when
Mhm.
I say you can't be both. Even my own mom, I'm like, well, first of all, you and my stepdad got a divorce when I was 16.
Mhm.
So you saying you was a single mom, okay? But and she gonna kill me when she hear this too. She gonna call me. But my mom would always say that her mother was both mother and father, and then my mom
Mhm.
would say I was both. I'm like, no. I always say this: you can be super mom all day long. You're not a father.
Mhm.
You're not. That's just like if a man is raising children and he's a single dad. He's not both the mother and the father. You're
No, you know
not.
what they are doing. Those successful parents, single parents that raise a well balanced kid or a pretty good kid, they have advice.
Yes.
They go to
They go to
uncles, they
people.
go to
They have a
coaches, they go
village.
to teachers, they go to the pastor that they trust, that is not doing anything underhanded, and they not sleeping with them. They go to
Come on.
people that they trust, and
Yes.
they're saying, "I don't know what to do with this kid. I don't. What should I? What am I looking for?
Yeah.
Why is
That's
he
love.
doing this?" from a
Yeah.
male perspective. And
Yes.
when you have a village, going back to your village statement, it takes a
Yeah.
village to raise a child. It takes a village. Single parent is hard, almost impossible to raising a balanced kid, male and female. They need the male perspective and they need the female perspective
Mm-hmm.
so that they can become an adult, so that they don't come up grown up with anger issues and abusive issues. And I beat my wife because I saw him beat my mom. No, that got to quit. It should not pass from generation to generation. That's just, those are repetitive actions. Those are behaviors, and you can
Exactly.
change a behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You don't,
Absolutely.
and that's not a drug. You can't drug a behavior. Oh, I need Ritalin, or I need no, you can't drug you change a behavior, but you got
Mm-hmm.
to identify what that behavior, what is that trigger of that behavior, and then work to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Every behavior is motivated. What is the
Yes.
motivation behind? And you can't use an excuse. I saw it as a sole excuse. Well, I saw it growing up and that's all I know. Well, you need to go find something else and learn there's a better way. Even Paul talked about, yeah, all y'all speaking in tongues and y'all think that's the big thing. Let me show y'all, let me educate y'all. There's a better way. And
Yeah.
love is the key thing. You can do all that stuff and don't have no love.
It means
It
nothing.
don't mean nothing.
What do you
So
say? You
you
accept
don't,
us. You
yeah, don't
just
come and
lie
say,
for no reason.
don't say, well, I do it because my daddy did it or my mama did it. Okay, your daddy, but you ain't your daddy. You're a part of them. That you do come from them. But you can change.
You can change if
You
you
can
want to.
change.
It all starts up here.
You can
Our
change.
mind shift.
It can change. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Jesus said, marvel, when Nicodemus came on, he said, marvel not, I say unto you, that you must be born again. You got to be born again.
Yeah.
So you can change. A sinner can change to be a saint.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, if you're living any kind of, you can change. You can
Mm-hmm.
change. You can change. You can change. I can change. Look at you, Darlene. I met you in college. Look how much you have changed. You have grown. You,
Grown. Yeah.
you've got knowledge. You get everything how the Lord has blessed you. Even in your marriage, y'all a power couple. Love you guys, but
Oh,
you've changed.
yeah.
And your
We.
daughter,
Yeah.
you're a change agent. And all, and I know we're well over our time. All y'all successful wives, change, change. Am I out of line? I'm out of line.
Nah.
And
No.
all you men that are watching, because there's some men somewhere around trying to find something. I know you're out there. I know, but you can change. Don't be
Yeah.
a predator. Stop all
Yeah.
that predator and it's being weird and all that. No, go and get saved and be and be change. Change your ways. Change
Yes.
how you think. Change how you think, how you approach things. Leave that ghetto mentality alone. Leave it alone. You can still be a disciplinarian. You can still be a libertarian. You can do whatever you want. But it all goes back to spiritual.
It
For
does.
for me,
Yes.
it all
It
goes
is.
back.
It is.
Beloved, I wish above all things. That's 3 John 2 for those who don't know. Above all things, King James version, by the way, because y'all got these strange versions out here. Uh, but wish above all things that you prosper. Too old fashioned. Stop laughing.
No, I love my brother. I
And
love.
be in good health, even not good health, and be in health, even as thy soul prosper. You do that, you're going to start seeing the change. And it's not overnight. It's a
Mm-mm.
gradual change, but you be consistent in what you do, just like
Consistent.
y'all were when y'all started y'all business. All y'all business women and business
Mm-hmm.
wives, all y'all successful marriages.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen overnight.
Mm-mm.
Your mental health, it didn't it, that you didn't get crazy overnight,
Mm-mm.
but
Not
you
it.
can become sane. Same way you got crazy is the same way you can get sane over time. It's a process, but you got to
Mhm.
work. You got to put the work in. You
That's
got
true.
to put the work in. You got to
That's
put the work in. Men don't work, men don't eat. So
that,
it is.
oh my God, that is one of your favorite scriptures. David would say that all the time. How long have we been on each other? 30 some years. David be
30
like,
something
it
years.
don't work. You do
Men don't
not
eat.
like lazy men. You be like,
Nope.
God said, man,
Find a
don't work.
job.
Eat. Take
You
care
go
of
to
your
McDonald's. Ain't
family.
nothing. And ladies, let me say this. If your man has to take a temporary job at McDonald's,
Hey,
support that man. He might become the manager. Support him.
yeah. If
And
he's
men,
doing
support your wife.
yeah.
Bible says, love husband, love your wife.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship. I hate divorce. I
Mm-hmm.
hate divorce, and I hate it. God hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'm divorced. I hate it. So you do everything you can to resolve and reconcile, but don't put that man down. Build him up. 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 And man, build up that woman. Don't think because you the man, you the head. Yes, biblically you are the head, but that woman is there for a reason. That woman is there to help you. She gonna help you.
Mm-hmm.
And if she and her goal is to help you, boy, man, you better look at that woman again
Mm-hmm.
and
And
see what that
women, we
woman can.
multiply things. We
Man,
multiply things.
listen,
Put
we
it
give
in
y'all
our
seed.
hands. We
We,
multiply.
we give y'all bread, y'all make a meal.
Come
We
on.
give y'all money, y'all make a fortune.
Come
We
on.
give y'all seed, y'all make a baby. We give y'all a house, y'all make a home.
Yep.
Don't look at that woman. Don't look at her sideline like you the boss. You ain't no boss. Just love her. She'll make you look good. You
That
see your
part.
host. The reason why your host is so wonderful, I know the man, and he takes care of her.
Yes, he
You don't
does.
see no bruises. You don't see no brown. You don't see nothing other than her skin. You don't see nothing because he makes sure that she is good, and that's how marriage should be.
Mhm.
That's
And
how
I
it
make
goes.
sure he's good too. Now he is definitely the homie. As we
There it is.
yeah, that's my dog. That's my
There it
homie.
is.
As we wrap up, I have one last question. What does healed wholeness and legacy look for you as a black man in today's world? What does that look like for you?
Peace. He'll
And peace.
keep you in perfect peace. Whose mind is stayed on. I'm not stressed about anything. I've lost businesses. I've lost money. I've lost things. I've lost people, classmates, family. I've lost things. I've gained things. My father always said in the preaching world, don't get so high and don't get so low. People compliment you, you preach a good message or do something good, and oh, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. But don't get so low that, oh, I can't make it. Try to stay in the middle, even
Mhm.
keel. Stay in the middle. That's where your peace is. It's not up in the mountain, but it's not in the valley either. That's depression. Stay even keel. He'll keep you. So that's what success. That's what a success. It's not perfect,
Mhm.
but it's a matured
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yes.
You're mature. You don't react to everything.
Yes. Yes.
You see, you look
Yes.
at grandma. Well, the old grandmas, not these what they call them glam moms. No, not
Grandma.
them. But you remember Big Mama?
Yeah.
She didn't deal with everything every time.
Mm-mm.
She picked her battles because she ain't had the strength to do it. But she also had wisdom. She know kids gonna be kids.
Mhm.
She knew Johnny was gonna mess up again. She knew there's some things she knew. But when she spoke up about something,
He
she put
spoke.
her energy into it.
Yes.
And that's maturity.
Yes.
So what it looks like to me is my own personal life. And it's not perfect, but I'm not rattled. You take everything, take this house from me now. Take my job. They're taking jobs from me. I'm not surprised. They're taking money from me. 401s. I'm not surprised by this administration, the political climate. I'm not surprised by this. Black people wake up. I'm
Mhm.
not getting on the pedestal, but understand that we as believers, we're not of this world. Why are
Mhm.
we worried about something that never was ours in the first place?
Mm.
Why is y'all tripping over over a couple $1,000s, couple $1,000,000? Okay, start another business. God gives you life. God gives you strength. It's God.
Mhm.
He is the source of your supply, not your employer, not even your education.
Mm.
And thank
Yeah.
God for your education. I'm glad y'all not ignorant. Well, some of y'all act ignorant, but thank God y'all got some kind of knowledge. But guess what? Your knowledge ain't gonna always save you,
Hmm.
it ain't gonna. It ain't. Knowledge comes and knowledge goes. Knowledge changes. Enlightenment and all that. But God, His word will never change. He'll keep you. He'll keep you. He'll keep you. If you, an old missionary say, He'll keep you if you want to be kept.
If you want to be kid,
But that
keep
is
you in
so
perfect
true.
peace.
Perfect peace.
Perfect peace.
Mine is there's your capsulate. Your mind got to be right.
That's it. Yeah.
You can't be focused on everything. So if you got a yoga, but keep your mind on Jesus. If you got a, I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know what all they do today, but keep your mind. Keep your mind. Keep your mind. Keep your Lord. Keep my mind stayed on Jesus. And if you
Yeah.
do that, and I'm talking from a Christian, but let me quickly address the other religions as well. If that's your religion and if that's what you believe, then understand what your religion is and do the best you can with it. Because most of these religions are some kind of piece of a bigger puzzle. And I'm not endorsing any of them, but everybody ain't Christian. And your network, everybody ain't Christian. And if I
Mm-hmm.
get into Christian, everybody ain't what they say. But what I am going to say, your religion plays a key role. Your
Yeah.
religion plays a key role. God is still God. However
Yeah.
we see him, however we interpret him.
Yes.
Use it to full advantage without trying to make wasteful gains and ungains and all that. Love God and then love one another.
Mm-hmm.
That perfect peace is there. It is attainable. I don't care how bad you think your life is. Perfect peace is obtainable.
Yes, it is.
The peace of God that surpasses our understanding keep you, and it makes you whole. WHOLE. It makes you whole.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing. You're looking for love and all. You think your husband is not the right one. Oh, he's right. You got to get right.
Mm-hmm.
If you get right, oh, God can change. I've seen marriages change. I've seen relationships change because they got to get themselves right.
Yeah.
Once they
Yeah.
got themselves right, they start working on that spouse. They said, "No, we're not getting a divorce." Now if you're divorced, there's nothing you could do about that. Nothing you could do about that, but you can still change. Make sure your ways are right. Make sure your mind is right. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure your mind is right. So when the next guy comes around, you understand, no, you're wasting my time, or I'll give this guy a chance. But if your mind ain't right, you ain't right. Your mind ain't right, you ain't right. So that's what it looks like to me. That's why that scripture is so important. He'll keep you in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on because he trusts in thee.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Well, that brings us to a close. And listen, this has been wonderful. I love my brother David. This
Yeah.
has been wonderful. And for you guys out there that's watching, you can drop your comments in the chat and let us know what you think. And if you have any questions or anything of that nature. And David, again, it has been an honor to have you on. And remember, wives, you define your own success. Okay. Until the next time, thank you and God bless you.
God bless.